Scotty Fox has made a big decision about returning to West Virginia. It's something I think a lot of us wondered about. And now that floats him into another situation with Michael Hawkins Jr. coming in. Now we've got a full-fledged quarterback battle on our hands. Let's break it down.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking Mountaineer football again on the portal side of things. Kinda. It plays a part anyways, as we talk about Scotty Fox Jr. and the decisions he has made. As of today, we had some breaking news as of earlier. Scotty Fox Jr. deciding what he is going to do in 2026. And so a post went out earlier today that simply, very understated, says, "Let's work at WVU football." I love that. I love that. And you can tell he's just ready to work. Is Scotty Fox motivated? Is he lit on fire? Is he in this, in a situation where he feels like, hey, why'd they bring a guy in? I'm the guy. This is my job to lose. All those feelings you probably have as a competitor. Michael Hawkins is thinking, hey, I've got my own team now. I'm coming in and it's going to be my squad. Well, let's talk about it. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends, and we love our friends at FanDuel. Usually we talk about how $5 is going to make you come holla, but on this one, guys, it's talking about college football playoff being here and how FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. And we thank you so much, guys. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast in the nation right now. 50 million views per month is insanity, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. So thank you guys so much for being here. As I said, breaking it down is going to be very fun for me because I think, first of all, I don't know if any of us knew what the addition of Michael Hawkins Jr. was going to do, right? At least I didn't. I mean, if you did know, then you're a smarter man than I am, because I wasn't sure with this what Scotty might do. I mean, I think he had a good enough year where he would get some power four talk, and could probably go be a backup somewhere at a power four, or get a starting job at the right gig, and definitely be a group of five starter. There's no doubt about it. And, definitely worried about North Texas a little bit. I mean, they'd already got Jaheim White. They've already got Johnny Williams. They've got a bunch of guys that Neil recruited to West Virginia there. And that's just scraping the surface. They've got other guys too. And you imagine you toss Scotty Fox in there and their quarterback, and I'd start talking about them as a playoff team next year. And they still might be with Jaheim White at running back. And if they get a good quarterback, North Texas could be scary in year one with Neil. That's legitimate. A lot of it has to do with their schedule, obviously. Not that they're capable of winning a playoff game necessarily, but look, like I said, man, I was worried about it. And I know a few other people that were too, because North Texas could have probably paid him, a couple $100,000 and brought him in. Thankfully, he stays at West Virginia. I think you can sell him on the vision. Like, first of all, there's almost no season where the starting quarterback doesn't go down for a bit and you get, nicked up, or you need to come out. You can't have no backup quarterback. That's not conducive to winning. And you can't just do it to make the starter happy. I'm sure there was communication with Scotty Fox as to what would happen there, right? I'm sure he's known the whole offseason they were going to bring a guy in. And it's not like they went out and brought in Colton Joseph, for instance, right? Had they brought Joseph in, then I'd really be wondering about Scotty then. Because that's a guy that you bring in to start, right? I mean, it is. You're going to pay him too much. As it is now, though, you get Michael Hawkins Jr. instead. And so we have an actual quarterback storyline now because Scotty Fox Jr., as he announces he's coming back, Michael Hawkins Jr. is transferring in. So this isn't a competition for reps. This is a real battle for QB1. And here's the plot twist. This isn't happening in a vacuum because West Virginia didn't just bring in Hawkins. They also went out and grabbed multiple linemen out of the transfer portal to rebuild the offensive line. And that matters because the type of line you build can quietly tell you about what kind of quarterback you want to feature, correct? So let's do it properly because if we're going to do a Fox versus Hawkins, we're going to talk about stats and then we're going to talk about traits, right? Stats versus traits are two different things. So who the portal O-line favors statistically, stylistically, all that we're going to get into because I think it's all very important. It's all worth talking about and all that. So, okay. So first, Scotty Fox Jr. He's not a mystery to teams anymore. He had real production on the stat sheet where you threw for 1,276 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. We all know that 2 of those happened back-to-back in the same game. And he had some bad breaks on a really bad football team and completed 59% of his passes and added 201 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns. There's a lot of upside here, though. We all know that. I think his completion percentage will skyrocket this coming year up to 65 or better if he ends up being the starter. So, this isn't all about just potential with him because he's already shown you that he can function as a starter, right? So here's where I think he's at. He's already ingratiated within the system. So he has an advantage to begin. So, he's a rhythm/structure kind of quarterback who can keep an offense on schedule. I think he's a really, really good ball distributor who once answers pre-snap so he can throw with timing. We saw him do that last year at times where Rich Rod gave him some stuff at the line to kind of play around with. That was surprising. And then he's also a quarterback that can kind of move, right? He's not a statue at all by any means. He's not living behind a design run only type offense. I mean, he had 84 rush attempts in 2025. That shows you that they're willing to use his legs. I would say the things that he needs to improve, are the ball security. Like 6 interceptions, 6 picks isn't catastrophic, but he didn't start every game. So, it's definitely something you have to look at. As a true freshman, he's going to get better. It's just a fact. Consistency under pressure. I think when the pocket collapsed last year, he would speed up his process just a little bit and all that because he just didn't have any running game. So teams could really tee off. Now it should be different. And, we need some more explosive play creation out of his arm because I think he can run the offense, but can he threaten defenses enough that they feel uncomfortable on every snap? I love his downfield passing game. I think he's very good. I think he's only going to improve there, but we got to have guys that can go deep, and we've added a couple. So I do think that he can do it. The strengths of Scotty Fox are this. Outside the numbers, drive throws, when he trusts his read, he can stick the ball to the boundary. He can absolutely sling it around. He's got a lightning quick release on deep outs, comebacks, hole shots, all play action. And that's where the clean pocket's going to matter. And, oh, by the way, 3 of the offensive line you added yesterday have added either no sacks or 1 or 2 sacks in their last 1,000 snaps. So you're bringing in an offensive lineman who have allowed very few sacks in their career. So, I think that's important to note here, right? And the quick game efficiency, slants, hitches, cuts, quick outs, those kind of things, he's good with those too. He's got a competitive nature about him too. That's another big strength of his. It's a don't blink kind of energy because he's not scared of tight windows. If the concept gives him leverage, he's going to do it, right? That's Scotty Fox in a nutshell. He's going to put his head down. He's a lot like Garrett Green. He even looks like a bigger Garrett Green in a way. So I think, when you look at a Scotty Fox, he's got a competitive nature about him. He's got a competitive drive. He was thrown into a situation as a freshman that wasn't ideal on a bad team. You're playing with your fourth and fifth string running back. You're playing with you're the third or fourth or fifth string quarterback. You're playing with the worst offensive guard in the country in Kimo Makaniole. You're playing with a guard in the 200s with Walter Youngberry. I'm sorry to talk about these guys. I'm sure they're great guys. I really am. But Tykees Crawford struggled to remember the protections in the plays. And so you had Livingston and Cray trying to hold this running game and offensive line together with duct tape, a hope, and a dream. That's it. That's what it was. And Scotty Fox made magic out of that time and again, even though it was a bad offensive line. How bad was Houston's front to allow us to put up 250 on them last year? Oh, that's right, because we brought different linemen into the game. Either way, I think Scotty Fox gives me I'm not completely sold that this is Hawkins' team. I don't know how many people are. I definitely can see a world where it's Hawkins' team and it's all go, 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 and Hawkins is running around making plays. 100% can see that too. But guys, do not sleep on Scotty Fox. Do not sleep on the potential he has. Do not sleep on his winning mentality, and do not sleep on his toughness and just his overall competitiveness. I think Scotty Fox is going to come in and he's going to battle his ass off for this quarterback one job. I think he's going to have a lot of playmakers around him that's going to make him look good. He already knows the offense, so he's got to step ahead here. What's Michael Hawkins going to do? This is a check your gut moment here for Hawkins coming into Morgantown as the new guy. Now, luckily for him, a bunch of new guys are coming in with him. But let's not get it twisted here. Scotty Fox this is his team until proven otherwise. You got to come here and take it from him. And I think he might have a chance, which we'll talk about next. And, of course, we're going to be talking about our friends at Rougiet College on this one. And why wouldn't we, guys? I mean, look, let's be honest. Most men don't want to talk about the things that get you to fumbling up in the bedroom, right? But let's talk about it because maybe we should. Stress from work, money, and life doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rougiet Ready is a next generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rougiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Most men are in and out about 15 minutes on average. So if you want to stay present, confident, and ready when the moment's right, try Rougiet. If you've been thinking about taking that next step, now's the time. Head to rougiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your first order for a limited time. That's Rougiet Ready, where you can feel present, feel confident, and feel ready. It's segment 2. Let's crack open this Baja Blast Dew. And look, guys, if Michael Hawkins Jr. wins the starting job next year and he's in the backfield with Cam Cook and they rush for 3,000 yards, you might have to Baja Blast my ass up into the sun because I'm going to be extraordinarily excited for that too. This is way different than how I felt last year, where I felt like I had seen enough in Nico. I knew that he was, a decent runner, but definitely hampered with the foot injury. We didn't know that at the time, but we knew something was different. Nico wasn't running like he had been before. So I had seen enough, and he's not exactly the kind of passer that, trying to think of somebody that you feel like can sling it around all like Will Greer was, right? Or like Gino was, where it's like it could be a slant, It could be a 15-yard pass or it could be a 50-yard bomb. With Nico, it felt like it was, a bunch of slants and screens, really condensed. And that's kind of what he was. Had he been able to run like he was in the past, I do feel like Nico could have had major success, but unfortunately that never happened. And so that was such a huge part of what he was going to be. I hate it for him. I really do. But, at the end of the day, guys, I think let's just go ahead and slow it down here for just a second. Something just dawned on me too, by the way. Has Nico Markell officially entered the portal? Is he in? I mean, it seems like they're going about it really quietly, but what if he actually just stays? I was just thinking about this earlier. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? And just do a quarterback battle. Say, hey, Nico, look, man, if you think you can battle with Hawkins and Fox, then come in and do it. That would be wild, man. If he decided to do that, that's probably a possibility. I haven't really thought about it because why haven't we heard anything yet? Anything? The portal's about to close, y'all. Like, I haven't seen anything about it publicly. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it publicly, him in there. I haven't. All right. Michael Hawkins Jr., right? We know what we're getting in Scotty. What about Hawkins Jr.? He obviously played at Oklahoma in 2024. He logged real reps, right? 7 games, 4 starts, completed 63% of his passes for 783 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 69 rushes for 200 yards and a rushing touchdown. So that's not a guy who's never been on the field. He's been thrown into games. He's had to manage real pressure in the SEC, and he's obviously West Virginia's betting that he can build on that. Here's the thing about Hawkins. He's got a high ceiling, obviously, and a quarterback with traits that can change what defenses have to defend. He's a modern quarterback in the sense like a Lamar Jackson that's really going to stress you with his legs, like at an elite level. This is an elite. This is as good a running quarterback as Rich Rod's had as far as speed goes. You put him up there with Denard. You can put him up there with Pat White. As far as the speed, I'm not saying he's as good a runner. I don't know that yet. It really depends. Like looking at his Oklahoma stuff, it seems like he's got a good feel because running is all about feel, right? When do you cut against the grain? When do you read, how do you read your blocks? You can get 20 or 30 extra yards based on how you know how to do that and sometimes score. On tape, especially against Auburn and other teams, he looked really, really good at it. Looks like he's been doing it his whole life. If he continues that trend, look out for him as a runner because it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to stop, especially with the offensive line we have coming in. So there's that, obviously off script stuff, when the play gets broken, and they can become chunk plays with a guy like Hawkins, which can be the separator. He kind of, Rich Rod said it last year. What guys like Pat White do is they erase mistakes in play calling or in scheme structure. If your scheme breaks down because somebody gets beat one-on-one, well, a guy like Hawkins can make that into a big chunk play and make it a big momentum swinging type play. We know about his threat in the run game. If you don't call quarterback power 15 times a game, that's fine because his keepers and scrambles force numbers to be accounted for. You got to be accounted for. You've got to be fit. You've got to be aligned. If you're misaligned or you're not, he's going to torch you. This is Garrett Green turned up a couple notches. So he's got elite explosive play potential. When he hits that third, fourth gear, it changes the temperature of the game totally and completely. He has to improve at operating inside the structure of the offense. Can you live off the boring stuff, which is the check downs, the punts, the field position, and not chase chaos all the time? Because that's what he did at Oklahoma as a youngster, as a freshman, redshirt freshman. if you go watch his tape at Oklahoma, they had a terrible offensive line, by the way. So that's one big red flag about it. They did not have a good O-line, and he was under constant duress. And at the top of his drops, there was pressure coming. And so he'd just take off, right? As a freshman, that's what you expect. At West Virginia, you're going to be in a lot of the design runs. But when it comes time to pass it, you've got to be able to do so. I know Scotty can run, especially on the design runs, especially if the offensive line is good enough. I have no doubts. And I have no doubt that he can pass it, with poise back there. Actually, he's even beyond what we could have even hoped for last year with that. So everything about this screams Scotty has the edge to start. I do think, and listen, I'm not counting Hawkins out. If anybody's watching this and you're a Hawkins fan, I'm not talking about, look, I'm not talking about Hawkins being unable to win this job or anything like that. Like, I really do feel like he can, but it's going to be tough to beat out Scotty in this situation. I do feel that way. We'll see. I'm interested in this battle heavily, obviously. For sure. It's going to be interesting, man. All right, so what else is there about him that I need to bring up? I know there's a couple other things I had in my head. Well, I'll tell you what. If Hawkins wins, this is what it's going to look like. He's going to create explosives without creating turnovers. He's going to prove that he can run the offense and not just be the athletic package. And the staff is going to believe in his upside is worth, definitely worth, what's the best word to use? Investing in, despite a few growing pains. That's, if he wins, you're going to have to accept that the passing game is going to be as far as just throwing the ball, he can do it. Like, it's not really a throwing the ball thing for him at all. Like, he's got arm talent. It's nothing to really do with that. His mechanics are a little off sometimes, at least on film. But whose isn't? I think it's very fixable things. He had 55 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in high school, so he's clearly capable. But I think for me on him, there's going to be growing pains in the pass game with this kid as far as getting him up to speed. With Scotty, it's like, at least there's the offense. You don't have to teach. If the quarterback knows the offense, and think about this, you're going to have 3 offensive linemen that know the offense too, most likely. And 4 counting Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown's been running this offense his whole life. His dad's taught it to him from Rich Rod's days. Like, it's not going to be unfamiliar to him is what I'm saying. So now Rick Trickett's part of this, coming in, maybe that is going to make it a little different. I don't know, but for the most part, you got at least 3 O-linemen that's going to have some familiarity with this offense, and so that should help. Along with the quarterback, potentially, if it's Scotty, even if it's not, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for year 2, guys. God, I can't wait for year 2. I'm so excited about it. We got 200 something days to go still, but the college football is going on right now as we speak. So, I do think that there's big differences between each, but end of the day, I think it's going to be great no matter who wins or loses. Going to break one last time. We'll be right back and give our final thoughts. All right, guys, we are going to be talking about our friends over at FanDuel right here. And when it comes to FanDuel, guys, usually we like this with the saying, my old saying is $5 is going to make you come holla, but not on this one, guys. With FanDuel, we got a new FanDuel read going on right now. And if you're not familiar with it, let me explain it to you really, really slowly because it's got some good stuff in it. The college football playoff is literally here playing right now. FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action, as every single game day during the playoffs is going to be having something called profit boost, which is interesting, right? Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuels can get that profit boost, which is going to be waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to get that profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. You can ride with the favorites when you think a team controls the matchup. You can take a shot on the underdog if you're feeling upset coming out, or you can just build a parlay around the player in the moment you think decide the game. Then just apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays that out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action all playoff long, so visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every single game day. We back. All right. Lights. I can't have you saying that in the chat, brother. Just consider, please. I'm just, you can't. Our sponsors are the lifeblood of what we do here. It's how we all survive and get paid. So we can't have any negativity about them. You can have that opinion, absolutely, but just try to keep it out of the chat, please, man. All right, so moving on to what I would say is some interesting topics, I guess, to talk about. There are still some players in the portal that I am very, very interested about. Obviously there is a couple Oklahoma guys that are in the portal right now. There is, I don't know, familiarity, I guess, with Zach Alley's defense, some of the guys. The big question is can West Virginia afford them? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did, but I don't. I will say, if West Virginia can get a couple pieces on defense, I feel pretty good about the offense. I'd like to have one more playmaking wideout. I feel like we're good at the running game. I feel like we're good on the offensive line for the most part. I like quarterback. I do think, our wideouts are, we just don't have much. Jaden Bray able to return, that'll be a huge deal for us as long as he can stay healthy. That would be an enormous deal. Enormous deal. It's like getting a $600,000 or $800,000 guy in the portal if you can. It just sucks because he's had back-to-back injuries on that foot, and you just don't know if he's able to do it anymore. Sometimes guys just have injuries like that never go away. But goodness, man, Jaden Bray, if anybody deserves it, it's Jaden Bray. We're all pulling for him to survive this and be able to not survive it, but you get what I'm saying? Have the gumption to pull through this and become a big time player again. Because last year he started out, he was on pace to catch 50, 60 balls last year for us. And he started out hot. It just didn't happen for him. He got hurt early. So I'm really looking to Jaden Bray. If Jaden Bray can come back in 100% like he was to start last year, we're going to be in good shape, I think. At receiver, he can be the lead receiver or one of the top two. Obviously, Francis has got a great shot to be too. It's just he's young. You don't know what he's going to turn into. I like the kid from Troy, DJ Epps. But he's a Sun Belt guy, and what are you going to do with him? Then you got some youngsters that you brought in through high school and things that you're hoping can step up a little bit. But wide receivers and tight end, Josh, I would love to see West Virginia get a really good tight end. Just one, that would help so much on as far as your offense. West Virginia, when they were good at Jack State, they had good tight ends. So we'll see what happens there too. All right, guys, I'm going to jump out of here. I know that the game is on, and I chose a bad time to do this, but I just had to get it out. I wanted to give myself a little bit of time off tonight instead of doing an after dark like 10 or 11. I just figured I'd go ahead and get it done. So I knew Oregon was going to get destroyed anyway. Just this Indiana team, just a team of destiny. Nobody's going to beat them. So, that's it. So we'll see what happens with it, but I'd be shocked if anybody else does. Hey, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one here in Locked On West Virginia. Thank you so much, guys. And don't forget, Q Country Roads.